Summarizing her position for the motion, it is wrong to pay for sex, Melissa Farley, a psychologist at Prostitution Research and Education.
I think it's wrong to pay for sex. There's no mutuality of sexual pleasure or any other kind of power in prostitution, where one person has the social, legal, and economic power to buy another person and to use them as a sexualized puppet. By the way, one of the kinds of damages we haven't talked about today is the damage to women's sexuality after being in prostitution for a long time. They usually are not capable of any kind of sexual intimacy that reflects the years of selling that particular act in prostitution. They say that's stolen from them. Men who are sold in prostitution experience exactly the same kinds of damage to their sexuality and the similar symptoms of traumatic stress. Maybe the primates we should take a lesson from are the bonobos, who, when female bonobos are co-dominant, males are less aggressive and females are more sexual. There's a lot of sexuality in bonobo society. Everyone's having sex, but it's used for mutual pleasure. It's used to cement social bonds. And by the way, the first time a adolescent male gets sexually aggressive, the female elder bonobos get together and kick his ass. He learns from that one experience that that's not what sex is. So one other comment about legalization of prostitution, it really is a failed experiment. The same numbers of women in legal prostitution in Nevada want to escape it. The same numbers are homeless as in other kinds of prostitution. This institution of prostitution is built on the exploitation and abuse of women. It can't be fixed, only abolished. I'm relentlessly optimistic about men's capacity for change. It's wrong to buy sex.
Thank you, Melissa Farley. Summarizing her position against the motion, the Mayflower Madam, Sydney Biddle Barrows.
Well, people have tried to legislate human nature and morality for centuries, and it's never worked. It'd be great if it did, but it doesn't. So we have to get real. Now, it is true that when it comes to the younger girls, I think it's tragic, and I don't understand why we are not absolutely prosecuting to the fullest extent of the law men who want to have sex with a young girl. I mean, I'm talking really young girls and children. Decent men don't want to do that. And I think as I said before, to paint every woman with the same tar brush is not right, because there are a lot of men who pay for sex because they feel, and I'm going to hear the hisses on this one, that it's being respectful. Now, what is more disrespectful or respectful? A man's in a bar, he pours $30, $40 worth of drinks down a girl's throat, says, oh, you know, I'm really feeling something for you. There could really be something here. Why don't you come up and see my etchings? So she goes up, she sees his etchings, and he has his way with her because she's so drunk that she can practically say no. And then, oh yes, oh sure, I'll call you tomorrow. He never does. She's just been used. But a guy who thinks that a woman is worth it, he calls up and he says, I think that it's worth $500 an hour for me to pay to have sex with you. I think you're worth it. I want to give it to you. I don't want to pour $40 worth of drinks down your throat and steal it from you. I want to give it to you. And so I don't think that there's anything, I mean, you have a lot of very honest men out there who pay for it because they feel it's being more respectful. Not for children, not for trafficked women, but there are huge amounts of men out there who pay for it because they believe it's the right thing to do, that it's a fair exchange, and they want and they choose to do it. And the women should be allowed to take the money. Why not?
Thank you, Sydney Barrows. And our final speaker tonight, summarizing her position for the motion, it's wrong to pay for sex, Catherine Mackinnon, professor of law at the University of Michigan.
From On the other side, we've heard that paying for sex is old, that it's diverse, that it's natural, although I don't think there are any pimps among chimps. That there's a global grandeur to human sexuality. And also, I think, in essence, that there's nothing wrong with it if you get paid for it, but you aren't the one who has to do it. But we haven't heard an argument about why it's right. And a little bit about why some aspects of it may not be wrong entirely. But nobody's really saying why it's right. And like to be on the cash nexus with sex. When this gets pushed down to the fine edges of the slippery slope, we essentially are having a, if they get their way, what can we still have department. And UNESCO, which is a United Nations entity, has this to say about the relation of what we've been talking about, sexual victimization and the economic exchange. They say, sexual victimization, this is a quote, has been found to be the first step in the breakdown of a woman's identity, which is necessary to render the human body into a sexual commodity for economic exchange. That's, I think, what it is. It's not only about, what that's saying is, I think, is that what's right about sex is what paying for it violates. That the hard issue, I think, for our side is what to do when women aren't paid for anything else. I've recently been working with 13-year-old girls who are the sole support of their families in intergenerational caste-based prostitution in India. But they are the ones who are saying, not, how can you take this one and only thing away from us that is the only thing that anyone will buy? They are the ones who are saying, give us any real option. Our economic desperation that has put us in this position is not all our lives can be. And they're saying, in Mr. Cowen's terms, change the difficult situation. Now, the other thing that is not being addressed by the other side is the question, why aren't men being sold for sex? Like, by the millions worldwide in the same ways and in the same proportions women are. It seems to me that if being bought and sold for sex is part of the grandeur of human sexuality, that men are really missing out on something here.
Thank you, Catherine Mackinnon.